All right, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about ways to add a constitutional amendment to the Constitution. So far we've learned about the amendments. We learned about the Bill of Rights and the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment. Today we're going to talk about the process for how an amendment gets added to the Constitution. This is an important standard for the EOC. All right, let me get my little pointer here. Okay. So what is an amendment? So we've talked about them a little bit, but let's review them. An amendment is a change or an addition to the Constitution's written words. So our founding fathers knew that the Constitution was not perfect, that they created it to be a flexible document that could be changed for when things arised in society that needed to be addressed. And so an amendment means a change to the Constitution. And so far we've had 27 constitutional amendments. So to amend the Constitution is a two-step process. First, it needs to be proposed, and there's two ways to do that. And then it has to be ratified, and there's two ways to do that. In 240 years, we've only added 27 constitutional amendments. So the process is slow and difficult. So one of the things you need to know for your EOC is why. The founding fathers they created the process to amend the Constitution difficult on purpose because they wanted to avoid frequent changes to the document. They only wanted us to change it for something very important. They didn't want us to change it for a transitory or a temporary reason. They wanted it to be a very important reason and only have really important things added to the Constitution. Now, why is amending the Constitution important? Because when we add to the Constitution, we are adding constitutional rights. We are fixing problems with the Constitution. So, for example, the 13th Amendment ended slavery, which was a problem that our Constitution didn't do that. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. The 26th Amendment lowered the voting age. These are things that have added important constitutional rights. And once it's in the Constitution, those rights are protected. Okay, so what is the process? There are 27 amendments that have been added to the Constitution. We talked about that. The first 10 are known as the Bill of Rights, which we learned about a couple weeks ago. The last one was added over 30 years ago, almost, in 1992, and that was dealing with pay raises for congressmen. Okay, so there are two steps. This is important. This is what you need to know for our EOC here. There are two steps. First, it has to be proposed. That means it has to be suggested. There are two ways that a constitutional amendment can be proposed. All 27 amendments that have passed have only ever been proposed this first way, which is by 2/3 vote in both houses of Congress. So what that means is once the amendment's proposed, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, 2/3 would have to vote yes for it. At that point, the amendment is officially proposed. So both the House and Senate, 2/3, not just a majority, not 50%, 2/3 of both the House and Senate must vote yes. At that point, it's officially proposed. There is another way, which I won't talk about as much because it's never been used, but we could have a national convention called by Congress if it's requested by 2/3 of the states. That's never been done. So we'll focus on this one. 2/3 of both houses of Congress have to vote yes. Now, once it's proposed, it does not become an amendment until it's ratified. So the next step is ratification. Again, there are two ways that an amendment can be ratified. So after it's proposed, it can be ratified by 3/4 of state legislatures. That would mean the amendment would go to all 50 states, and the state legislatures, for example, Florida's is in Tallahassee. If Florida votes to ratify, we would need 36 states to vote to ratify. At that point, it becomes an official amendment. We could also have conventions in 3/4 of the state where there's ratifying conventions. Again, that's only ever been used, I think, one way. All 26 other amendments have been ratified by 3/4 of state legislators. Notice that 3/4 is more than the 2/3 vote it takes in Congress. So 3/4 of state legislatures. So Florida, Georgia, you would need 36 states legislatures, the congressmen and senators from each state to vote yes on it. And you need 36 states to do that. So let's go back and review that again. So the first step is proposed. It can be proposed by a 2/3 vote in both houses of the United States Congress. And then for it to be ratified, it can be ratified one of two ways. 3/4 of state legislatures vote yes, or 3/4 of state ratifying conventions. Okay, so here's a kind of review of that. Here you see proposed by Congress by a 2/3 vote in both houses, and then it can be ratified by 3/4 of state legislatures. 38. I'm sorry, I was saying 36, 38. There are these two other ways for proposal ratification, very rarely used. We could have 2/3 of the states call for a ratifying convention, which we've not had. Or the second way it can be ratified is by a ratifying convention in 3/4 of states. But you'll notice we need about 67% of Congress to vote yes in step one, but we need 75% of state legislatures to vote yes in step two. So we have proposal and ratification. Okay, that's it. That's where we're going to stop the video. This slide is just talking about other ways we can get important things changed and without being constitutional amendment, such as a Supreme Court decision, which gave us the right to have our rights read to us. That's not a constitutional amendment, but because of Miranda versus Arizona, we have that right. But we'll stop with the constitutional amendment process. All right, that's it. Let's see how long it takes me to stop my video. Hello. Goodbye.